What's going on, everybody? What is going on? It is Friday, September 15th, 2023, and we are back for another live on the Torian Rain Reloaded channel. I hope everybody is having a good day. Hope everybody had a good week. If you are new, welcome to the channel. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and share button, hit the bell twice to be notified whenever I upload a new video or go live. So far, it says that I have 43 people in the chat. I'm sure the chat will go higher as time progresses on throughout this stream. But let's see, who do we have in here so far? We have Cool Spider, Donna C, The Traveling Man DSB, Denise Scales 25 Kids, Spidey, Pseudo Kid, Tawana, Dawani, and Rashida in here so far. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Like I said, I'm sure more and more people will come in as time progresses on forward. And before I really go any further, shout out to everybody who has supported the merch store so far. I always constantly look, or they'll constantly notify me whenever somebody has purchased something. And since I made that announcement last week, I had 9 sales in total, but not from 9 people. One person, they damn near bought the whole store. They bought like about 5 items. So shout out to that individual, and shout out to everybody else who purchased something as well. Again, if you would like to get something from the store, all you have to do is click the store tab on my YouTube channel, which I believe is probably next to the community tab. And you can go there and you can see the selection that is there, or at the bottom it actually has a preview button right there from the Spread Shop, which is the website that they're on, and you can click on one of those items and it'll take you directly to the store. So shout out to everybody who contributed or supported in some way, somehow. Let's see, who else do we have in here? We got Pinky JYB, Letitia, and Scoop 2003. Scoop, you're not late. I just started. I haven't even gotten to any of the topics yet. I'm just doing like my introductions and, welcomes and all of that good stuff. And we have our first super chat of the day. Shout out to Jay Cage for the $10 super chat. He says, peace and B1 Torian and fam. Well, peace be to you and B1 as well. What's going on? Capuchon, what's going on? I have quite a few topics that we will be discussing today. I always keep telling myself I want to limit it to 5, but that never seems to work out, especially with me doing one video a day. 5 is just not going to be in the cards. So it's probably looking like at least double that, at least no more than 10. The rest will either go on Patreon if they're heavier hitting topics, or they'll end up on here as just a pre-recorded video. What's going on, DJ? I don't know where y'all are at in the establishment or in the world, but it was nice all week. Like, this is the type of weather right here that I like. That feels like that. It feels like spring outside, even though I know we're about to make that transition into fall from summer. But it has been nice all week. Like, been in like the low 80s and 70s all week. Now, like I said, this is my type of weather. Me being a spring baby, this is right up my alley. What's going on, Janesta and Savion? B1 to you, Afro, and shout out to you, Afro, as well. That breakdown that you did on that individual yesterday on your channel was very, very good. Very, very well done. Yeah, like Donna said in the chat, it is beautiful outside. Just go outside and take a walk. It's pleasant. This is that weather when you want to go outside and just not want to go back inside. Like, you just want to stay outside for as long as possible. Or if you're inside, crack open your window. You don't even have to have your AC on, and let the natural breeze kick in. And we needed that, because last week it was like, I think it was probably like the last big heat wave of the year. Because when it was like in the 90s all week, like I'm talking about damn near 100 every day. So I see that we all have the same type of weather across the establishment. We better enjoy it now, because for those of us who live in rather states that can get to Arctic conditions, we going a month from now, I would say like a month from now, it's going to feel a lot different. Trust me. All right, y'all, it is 6:10, so we are now going to go ahead and get started with the stream. And as y'all know, if there's ever any topic that I have that's a positive topic, I always kick off with that first, and I think this one fits the bill to kick off first. First off, let's give a shout out to Coco Gauff, or Golf. I hope I'm probably pronounced her name incorrectly. Forgive me if I did. She won her first Grand Slam title at the age of 19. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull this video up so we can see what they have to say about her.
The stunning finish. American Coco Gauff making history, the first teenager and youngest American to win the U.S. Open in nearly a quarter century, taking home the title in a thrilling 3-set match. Making history at just 19 years old, American Coco Gauff is now the women's singles champion at the U.S. Open. Nice. Gauff fighting hard for her first Grand Slam win against the incoming #1 female player in the world, Aryna Sabalenka. Gauff struggling with her forehand, while Sabalenka came out swinging, besting Gauff 6-2. But Gauff came roaring back in the second set, crossing the court to slam down this backhand winner. But Sabalenka wasn't going down easy, the Belarusian keeping Gauff on the move. Perfectly played. Still, as the match progressed, Gauff got better and better, winning the second set. Gauff seizing the momentum, taking a lead in the final set.
Coco for the championship and the title.
In the end, Gauff serving for the youngest American to take the title since Serena Williams in 1999. Gauff hiking up into the stands to hug her father and mother, overwhelmed with emotion.
You believed in me from the beginning. I've been coming to this tournament. My dad took me to this tournament, sitting right there watching Venus and Serena compete. So it's really incredible to be on this stage.
And here she is all those years ago, just 8 years old, dancing in the stands at the U.S. Open. We caught up with Coco after the match, where she thought back to what she'd tell that little girl.
So 10 years later, hearing this is crazy. And I think the biggest thing I would tell her is...
And she's already becoming such an incredible ambassador for the sport. After the match, Coco told us that she would celebrate overnight with her family by going to a sports bar, finally sitting down and eating a burger. The sweet taste of victory, you could say. We'll have much more from the U.S. Open coming up right here. Also, you can see Novak Djokovic take...
All right, so that's pretty much it. Congratulations to her. When I first saw her start playing, I said, yeah, she's going to be like the second coming of Serena Williams. Like, if there's anyone I have like in my mind that's going to follow in the footsteps of even Venus, we'll just say the Williams sisters, it would definitely be her for sure. So definitely congratulations to her. At 19, that's outstanding. So she's young, so she still has a lot of years left in her to go. And she most likely can possibly even go and compete in the Olympics. So who knows what that'll be like. I don't know if she'll qualify or not, but we'll see, especially since the Olympics is next year. Let's see what y'all are talking about in the chat. DSV said that Mayor woman never had a chance. Janessa said congratulations to that young lady. DJ said that she adapted quickly to her op. Tawana said so great. So I'm saying a lot of congrats. Yes, definitely congrats to her. And I predict she's definitely going to have a wonderful future going forward. So that was the only, I guess you could say, melanated Black excellence story that we had, or feel good story that we had to kick everything off. Now it's time to get into the nonsense. Now I know in the title y'all see a few things up there, but that's just only a couple of things. It's a reason why I put "and more" in all caps, because it's definitely a whole lot more that we got to touch on. And we're going to start off with this one right here. So as we all know, PC don't like the lift every voice and sing. They probably despise it more than anything, but they really absolutely hate when it's performed during what they would consider their sporting events. Because technically, you really think about it, the only people that's they really do own the sport. I mean, it really technically is their sport, and the only people that really are on the field like that for the majority part are the black players. But they're just the players. But also with PC, when they think they own you in all capacity. But they got so upset when during the opening NFL game that they performed the lift every voice and sing, so much in fact that they began to boo when it was performed. I don't know if I actually have a video. Let me see if this video will play. Let me see. It's only 10 seconds. So it sounds like it's okay. So I don't know if y'all could hear it. It's kind of faint because the person is recording it over a TV. It's not the actual footage from the game, but you could actually hear the boos in the background. Now, mind you, they're already done singing. And they were still booing them. But these are the same people that love to go around claiming they're so patriotic and whatnot. But let me read the article, and also the same people that got mad when Colin Kaepernick took that knee. Let's see what this article, and this is coming from MSN, so I can only imagine what they're going to say. Woke ball. They already started off with the nonsense. Woke ball. The National Football League season kicked off Thursday to the sound of boos. Some fans weren't happy when a local choir performed a song considered by some to be the Black national anthem before the Kansas City Chiefs hosted the Detroit Lions in the league season opener at Arrowhead Stadium. The choir's performance of Lift Every Voice and Sing took place before the Star Spangled Banner was sung. And that's another thing they don't like. They don't like the fact that this song is sang before that one. How they probably sitting in their mind of how dare you sing your N-word song before our All-American, and we know what they mean when they say All-American song. The Kansas City Boys and Girls Choir performed the rendition of the song according to KCTV TV. Boos were audible after the performance, so it wasn't during, it was more after. But then you have this person right here who put up this post, said, what happens when you play the Black national anthem first over the U.S. national anthem? So there it is. They got upset because one, it was performed at all, and two, because it was sang before the actual anthem. Is that some supporters of the song noticed the negative reaction, accusing the fans who expressed displeasure of racism. One user said Kansas City Chiefs got done racist ass fans. I don't know if that's a typo or not. It says they booed the Black national anthem. It says it's unclear if the fans booing the performance were doing so because they saw it as a replacement to the Star Spangled Banner, or if they objected to the race-centric use of the song. Christian artist Natalie Grant sang the national anthem afterwards. And this is the NFL began arranging the performances of Lift Every Voice in the 2020 season after a summer of racial protests and riots in the wake of George Floyd's death in Minneapolis police custody. Troy Vincent, the league's executive vice president for football operations, wrote about the decision at the time on NFL.com. James Weldon Johnson wrote the poem Lift Every Voice and Sing in the late 1800s. Vincent said it was put to music in 1905 by his brother John Johnson and adopted by the NAACP as its official song in 1919. As a child attending Jefferson Elementary School in the Trenton, New Jersey public school system, the song was part of our morning ritual. We sang along right after, before placing our hands over our hearts and pledging allegiance to the American flag. Many schools continue the tradition to this day. The Christian hymn is about the struggle for freedom and equality, inspires hope. It has encouraged generations of Black people that God will lead us to the promises of life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. Is as pertinent in today's environment as it was when it was written. He concluded by saying, please reflect on the inspirational meaning of Lift Every Voice and Sing. It's rich history and how it might help to bring unity to a nation in need of healing. Some fans expressed their displeasure with a performance that seemingly distracts from the national anthem. So there it pretty much it goes. And this person right here says a bridge too far. The NFL has replaced the United States national anthem with a black national anthem. I might as well Bud Light them too. They didn't see, this is what I'm talking about. They didn't say they replaced the national anthem with Lift Every Voice and Sing. They sang the national anthem after the song was done. They made it seem like it was omitted altogether. See, making a mountain out of a molehill and stretching out and stretching something more than what it needs to be, the over exaggeration. But see, if they consistently tell themselves that they're being replaced, then it makes it sound like it's a cause for alarm. And let's be real here. Even with the national anthem, I'm gonna quiz y'all right quick. What artist had the best rendition of the national anthem? As far as singing wise, put it down in the chat. What artist do you believe had the best rendition of that song? I want to see what y'all gonna say. All right, Crystal said Marvin Gaye. Talking to Grubman said Whitney Houston. John said Whitney Houston. Penny Lou said Whitney Houston. Spidey said Marvin Gaye. Capuchon said Miss Houston. DJ said Whitney. Marvin Gaye. So I'm seeing a combination of Whitney Houston and Marvin Gaye. Elizabeth Mack said Jill Scott. So I'm seeing a majority Whitney. I see Marvin Gaye sprinkled in there, and someone else said Jill Scott. Either way, most people prefer when a lot of black people sing that song, especially when it came to Whitney Houston. Still the best version, in my opinion, to this day. I don't care what anybody got to say. I'm gonna be honest. Jasmine Sullivan during the last World Series, she did a very good job with it too. I don't know if any of y'all had a chance to hear it, but her rendition was very good too. But let's see what this person said. Why would we ever need a black national anthem unless you want to cause racial division? Hashtag NFL, hashtag Kansas City versus Detroit, hashtag stay woke. Well, don't worry, we will stay woke. This person said the NFL televising and focusing on Lift Every Voice and Sing instead of the national anthem really shows where this country is heading towards. Woke culture overtaking American values, aka black culture. They want to say it so bad, I'll say it for them. Is it too offensive for us to sing the Star Spangled Banner now? They didn't omit the song. See what I mean? When I tell y'all they are their ancestors, believe me when I say that. See, this is the reason why I do these kind of articles and do this stuff, because I want people to understand what we're up against and what we're dealing with. That way people can't say, oh, we're not this way, we're not that way. Bullshit. You couldn't tell me by looking at some of these posts. And when you look at the replies, those replies are reflective majority of what the person posted. So you might be seeing a few posts here, but look at the 122 replies, 424 replies, 208. They all feel the same sentiment as the person who posted it. This one says, enough of this black national anthem stuff. They probably want to say shit at NFL. We have one nation, not two. I couldn't tell by the way this way this establishment treats its black American citizens. But continue. In the game that followed, the Chiefs, defending the Super Bowl champion, suffered a 21-20 upset loss to the Lions, a team that barely missed the playoffs last year. And that is the entire article right there. Well, let them be butthurt. Let them boo and all of that other stuff. If it gets them closer to an aneurysm, so be it. Let's see what y'all talking about in the chat. And shout out to Wall Street Tech for the 1234 super chat. He said Jimi Hendrix and also Lift Every Voice and Sing by Them Kids. Bless them. Shout out to you. Songwriter Sonny said, lift every voices as all lives matter as it could get. Mr. Quick says, white words still are and always will be wicked, racist, demonic demons. Brother B1 Fifth says, complete separation between black folks and white folks, the only solution. Excuse me. Noah said, we're already divided and the current national anthem is anti-black racist. And yeah, if you listen to the whole song, like the whole national anthem, like that third stanza that they don't like to put in there. Yeah. Mr. Quick says, I give them no leeway. You have to check them. Unfortunately, too many black people think racism is a thing of the past. When you say too many black people, which ones do you think? Are you talking about the older black generation or the current generation? Let me put it in layman's terms. The baby boomers, Gen X, millennials, Gen Z. Which one out of that group do you think that black people, do you think that they think is racism is a thing of the past? Between those four generations that I mentioned. Donna said, or the tethers. Now that's an interesting entry because they don't share our struggle. They don't share I would say our issues when it comes to this establishment, and that's been proven several times. If you needed a glance, just look on Twitter, well, X, whatever they want to call it. Mr. Quick said, no, the current generation. So he's talking about Gen Z. But yeah, they think, like I said, PC just simply thinks them performing this song is somehow replacing the national anthem, and it's not. They didn't omit the national anthem. It's being performed right after, but it's the fact that it's being performed at all. They just don't want to say it outright say it, since they want to try to be as covert about it as possible, but they really can't. But that's that story right there. Let's move on to the next story. We are taking a trip all the way to Las Vegas with this one. Now, this guy's just a straight up knucklehead and idiot. This guy right here, whose name is Brandon Johnson, who worked at a casino in Vegas, stole or is accused of stealing $776,000 from a resort property. How many of y'all heard about this? That's a lot of money right there, but I'm not surprised that he took that much or got away with that much, considering it is Vegas and it is surrounded around a lot of casinos, which means that's a lot of money that this person is around, and he's probably around it all the time. So it was probably not that hard for him to do. Clearly it wasn't. If he sold that much money, he almost made away with $1 million. And that's his picture right there. It says a management employee at Aria Hotel on the Las Vegas Strip is facing 15 charges after allegedly stealing more than $770,000 by creating fraudulent hotel reservations, refunds that were put onto his credit card. That is insane. Now, keep in mind, last week, the scammer that I talked about that worked at the Wendy's, the manager who created a phantom and ghost employee so they can rack up all this money. Now here we are a week later talking about this dude and what he doing, stealing all this money at a hotel in Vegas. Brandon Rashad Johnson, age 38, a hotel operations manager since 2013 for the MGM Resorts International property, used the stolen funds to live a lavish lifestyle, I bet, which included shopping at Louis Vuitton and Versace, flying on private jets, doing spa visits, going to shows, and even purchasing a home, according to his arrest report. In early July 2023, the report states another hotel manager became suspicious of Johnson due to the expensive items he was purchasing and suspected he might be making fraudulent reservation refunds to his own credit card. Johnson did have the authority to do refunds, but during an internal audit and investigation that started on July 25th, it was discovered that there were 309 refunds done by Johnson to the same Visa credit card number. The transactions took place over a 12-month period from July 2022 to July 2023. And 4 days after the investigation started, Johnson quit his job with a text message. Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department was notified of the alleged theft on July 27th and began an investigation. An Aria co-worker told police Johnson began giving him gifts and taking him on expensive dates. And when he asked Johnson where he got the money, Johnson so he's in the academy. I had to read it. I was like, oh, because it says him. So he's an academy member. Johnson told him he was working as a private chef for high-end clients. That coworker said he became suspicious and began looking into Johnson's work transactions and saw the money was all going to the same credit card number. So he notified management, and the arrest report stated. On August 31st, a law firm, Las Vegas Defense Group, contacted Metro Police to report they were representing Johnson, who surrendered to police on September 1st. At that time, he invoked his 5th and 6th Amendment rights. The arrest report details the alleged transactions Johnson made over the course of a year. The first two were in July 2022 and totaled $6,400. But by July 2023, he was up to 37 transactions that month, totaling nearly $110,000. Johnson is facing 15 charges that include theft of more than $5,000 but less than $25,000, 2 counts. Theft of more than $25,000 but less than $100,000, 9 counts. Theft of more than $100,000, 2 counts. Money laundering and attempted money laundering, and unlawful felony act regarding computers. Johnson is currently being held in the Clark County Detention Center, and no bail has been listed. He is scheduled for a source hearing on September 11th, which of course happened already, where he must prove the money he would use for bail was not illegally taken money. His preliminary hearing is scheduled for September 19th, which of course is next week. Wow. But again, what did I tell y'all? That greed will get you every time. That greed will get you every time. Lamiko says, speaking of Las Vegas, did anyone hear about that Vegas cyber attack? Yes, I heard about it. I believe that was to the MGM based properties, and that affected all the MGMs. No, it wasn't just in Vegas. It wasn't all of them that got affected. But yeah, I did hear about it. But I think they definitely got that taken care of since that happened. Scoop said he ain't the only one. He's just the one that got caught. Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. These kind of scams happen every single day by thousands on top of thousands of people. DSB said that happened to me like a month ago. I was lucky to get my money back. Listen, I was a victim of a hack right after I graduated from college. Someone was got a hold of my information and was spending it on paying a phone bill to AT&T, and I'm like, I'm not with AT&T, I'm with Verizon. But we got that taken care of. The only thing is you have to pay to get the investigation done, and then you don't get the money back. Teacher said they get caught because they get greedy. Exactly. That's what it all boils down to. It's the greed level. Like, look at all that money he got over the course of a year. Almost $1 million. He could have stopped when if he wanted to, but he got greedy because what he had that he felt was enough wasn't really enough. It goes back to what I said last week with that woman at the Wendy's. Enough was not simply enough for her. She kept going and going like the damn Energizer Bunny, and so did he. And he got caught, and so did he. It's always going to be a paper trail. It's always going to be a paper trail. You want to know what's so interesting? If he had not gone on that date with the coworker, he probably wouldn't have got caught. Because notice, he was doing fine until he went on that date. And the coworker who he went on the date with was the one that was putting the pieces of the puzzle together. And that's how he got exposed. So imagine if he just stayed a single man, or just didn't go on a date with anybody that could figure it out, he would probably still be pulling this scheme. So That's how he got caught at the end of the day. Because they didn't start the investigation until July of this year. It's not like the investigation was going on shortly after he started last year. But yeah, those scammers are everywhere. Just beware and make sure you got your stuff in order. Make sure you're always checking your bank account to make sure that everything is there, to make sure there's no money coming out of your account that's under something else, because you just never know. You just never know. And it's better to be safe than sorry. Crystal said the coworker was mad he wasn't included in on it. Maybe. I don't know. Either way, he got caught, and now he got to deal with the consequences. All right, let's move on to the next story. Let's share this tab right here. So, this is an update story from last year. Who remembers that University of Virginia shooting that happened last year? I think it happened last June. Was it last June where you had that man that shot those people on the bus? And I think he killed one of them. I think it was a football team that he shot at and on the bus. And he killed one of them. Well, his charges have been upgraded from where they were. And I'm not shocked by that at all. And shout out to John Guillory for the $10 super chat. He says, salute B1. There will be more cybercrime like this because the sentences are not as severe as armed robbery and others. Right. They should take them a little bit more seriously, because those cybercrimes seem to happen so more frequently and more faster and more easier. It seems like it's a no-brainer. Well, I won't say it's a no-brainer. You have to know what you're doing. But in case y'all forgot, there was this man by the name of Christopher Jones, who you see, the name is right here. And this is his picture right here for those of y'all who didn't see it. Let me enlarge it. That's him right there. I actually talked about him on one of my videos last year, I believe. I had talked about it. But yeah, that was a tragic incident regardless. And I said they need to throw the book at his crazy ass. But they upgraded his charges. So we're going to see what charges he got, what his charges got upgraded to. DSM Sinister said the shooter took out three. It was in October, November. Okay. I couldn't remember what month it was in, but I just knew it was last year. Like I said, it's so many stories that come out. It's hard to keep up with days and dates and months. But let's see what they're talking about. Christopher Darnell Jones Jr. already charged for opening fire on fellow University of Virginia students and killing 3 of them in November. So there it is right there. Has been hit with 13 new indictments, including a relatively new type of murder charge that carries mandatory life imprisonment. Well, I say give it to him. Appearing Friday morning on Albemarle, I probably mispronounced that, County Circuit Court on a video feed from Albemarle Charlottesville Regional Jail, where he has been held without bail since his November 14th arrest. Jones listened as Judge Claude Worrell advised him of the new indictments. Unlike his prior second-degree murder charges, the new aggravated murder charges are Class 1 felonies, which carry no chance of release. That's the real difference between what you were charged with previously versus what you are charged with now. The 23-year-old Jones betrayed no emotion, but nodded silently at this news. 8 friends and family of the victims watched and listened from the courtroom gallery. Jones is accused of shooting 5 unsuspecting and sleeping students inside of a charter bus that was parking on Culbreth Road on University Virginia grounds after returning from an out-of-state field trip on November 13th. Cavalier football players Devin Chandler, Lavelle Davis Jr., and Deshaun Perry were killed, and 2 others, Marley Morgan and Michael Hollins, were injured in the gunfire. The latter, a teammate of the slain players, recovered from his injuries and is returning to the field this fall. His mother was in court Friday but declined to comment to the Daily Progress. This is a first appearance for some new indictments by a special grand jury that met in Albemarle County, was Judge Worrell's explanation on Friday's hearing. The special grand jury returned the new charges Wednesday, according to a statement from the Office of Commonwealth's Attorney, which clarified that alternate theories of guilt will enable a jury to convict on 3 of 6 new murder charges, which will supersede the old charges. When Virginia abolished the state's death penalty 2 years ago, lawmakers renamed the underlying charge capital murder, which includes multiple death slayings, as aggravated murder and fixed the sentence at life in prison. Worrell used the Friday's hearing to appoint Jones's existing legal team, the Office of the Public Defender, to represent him. Worrell also ordered that Jones continue to be held without bail and set a status hearing for October 2nd. Besides the murder charges, the 2 malicious wounding charges for shooting Hollins and Morgan have also been upgraded to aggravated malicious wounding. Plus, there are 5 indictments for the use of a firearm in a felony. The Commonwealth's attorney's statement notes that the new murder charges could allow a jury to convict on the lesser offense of first-degree murder, which carries a term of 20 years to life. Jones has not yet been given a chance to plead guilty or not guilty to the charges, probably because they just recently upgraded them. But yep, that's the update with him. I say throw the book at him. That's what I say. When I first heard about it, I think I said that then. Throw the book at him. Because apparently he had no regard for life, and he doesn't feel any type of way about what he's done now. So there you go. He just threw his whole life away. Only 23 years old. He's done. He is done out here. Trying to see what y'all saying about it in the chat. Oh, y'all just kind of talking amongst yourselves. But yeah, I remember talking about this, and he's pretty much, like I said, he is done. There's no really any way to put it. And shout out to, I'm not going to say your name on here if you are indeed watching, but I do see the person that just sent me the Cash App. I do appreciate it. Shout out to you, NB1. But we'll see what happens, though. I feel like with these new charges, they feel certain that they can get him on this. If they upgraded his charges, that means that they have strong belief that they can get him on this. Scoop says, what the F be wrong with these? Listen, I don't know. Maybe it's something in the water. I have no clue. When you find out, you let me know. But let's move on to the next story. Now, this type of story I've talked about so many times on my channel. And I actually have another video that's coming up, possibly most likely next week, that's going to talk about a separate story surrounding this, where we have yet again another situation with Black youth in their hair being policed. This time coming out of Texas again, where you have this Black teenager who you see in this picture. His name is Daryl George. He's 17, who got reprimanded because of how he wore his hair. Of course, as you can see in this picture, he has it in locks. Let me zoom in so you can see it right here. That is him right here with his hair. And they said he got suspended. He got suspended from school because of his quote unquote hair length. Y'all can't tell me without the shadow of a doubt that these so-called dress codes that they got in these schools are not for Black people or Black kids. Because every single time there is a situation such as this, it is always a Black student that is at the center of this, whether it is a boy or a girl, and it usually goes back to them wearing locks. John said, hey, I'm right there with you. I'm tired of them too. Now, keep in mind, in Texas, back in 2020, 3 years ago, you had another situation with another Black kid, a Black boy who had locks too, and they wasn't going to let him graduate because of his locks. And I'm sitting here saying to myself, when I look at the length of his locks, I'm like, he had to have been growing them for a few years, which means y'all seen what his hair looked like. But now it's a problem because he's about to be valedictorian and he's about to graduate. His story ended up going viral. I believe he ended up on a couple of talk shows. A lot of celebrities backed him up, and the school felt embarrassed and they just let him graduate. And I don't think the school really ever was held accountable for what they did. But let's see what they're talking about on here. Soon after starting his junior year last month at Barbers Hill High School in Mont Belvieu, Texas, Daryl George was separated from his classmates because of the way he wears his hair, his mother and a lawyer said. Since the term began on August 16th, Daryl, a 17-year-old black student, has received multiple disciplinary notices that have culminated in more than a week of in-school suspension, where he sits on a stool in a cubicle and work is brought to him, according to his mother, Darisha George. Each morning, he is asked by officials at the school about 30 miles east of Houston whether he has cut his hair yet. Like, they literally are asking, has he cut his hair yet? Like, the school year just started and already he's in in-school suspension because of his hair. Not for any disciplinary action, even though they are saying they gave him disciplinary notices for his hair. And Tawana just informed me that the boy I was talking about that in 2020, this is the same school. Go figure. Not because he was being disruptive, not because he was acting up in class, but because of his hair, they gave him disciplinary notices. Like, really let that marinate right quick. He got disciplinary notes for his hair. And he got more than a week of in-school suspension for it. He is actually getting singled out, said Miss George. He says they are personally stopping him. Did he cut his hair? Asking him at the door. What the hell is going on here? And they see absolutely nothing wrong with it. They see nothing wrong with it. Daryl has locks or long rope-like strands of hair that he pins on his head in a barrel roll, or a protective style that reflects black culture, Miss George said. On August 31st, about 2 weeks after school started, school officials told her that his hair length, even though pinned, violated the dress code. It always violates the fucking dress code. I didn't even mean to like drop the F-bomb, but damn it, that shit pisses me off. I agree, teacher. She says parents should not send their children back to a school that does something like this. And it's more than just this school. It's several others, as y'all will see in a video that I'm going to bring to y'all next week. And this happened in another state, by the way. I was told that every day Daryl comes to school, he will be put in school suspension because his hair has not been cut, she said. Even if he pulled up in buns or neatly pulled back, because when let down, it's below his earlobes and his eyebrows. Supporters of the family, including legislators and activists, have called the suspension alarming, saying that it could test a new state law called the Crown Act. The law, which Governor Greg Abbott signed in May, says in part that any dress or grooming policy adopted by a school district may not discriminate against a hair texture or protective hairstyle commonly or historically associated with race. The law does not specifically mention hair length. The Barber Hills and see that's the trick bag, because the law doesn't mention length. What they'll do is say, okay, we'll abide by everything else you said, but we'll put in there about what the length is, and y'all can't say it's violating the Crown Act because the Crown Act doesn't say, oh, we can't that we're breaking the law because it doesn't mention hair length. So that's the trick bag right there. That's how they're getting over. The Barbers Hill Independent School District dress code mandates that a male student's hair will not extend below the eyebrows, below the earlobes, or below the top of a t-shirt collar. I need to see their white students. I need to see their white male students in particular in this school, because we know that a lot of them wear their hair pretty lengthy. I need to see it, because if I saw even one, that means they violated their own policy. The Barbers Hill Independent School District dress code mandate. Okay, I already read that part. A district spokesman, David Bloom, said that the dress code and suspension were not in conflict with the Crown Act because the code permits protective hairstyles if the hair would not go beyond the permitted length when let down. The vast majority of hair code violation punishments, ISS or more severe, have been handed down to white students, Mr. Bloom said, using the acronym for in-school suspension, where he says students are kept in a classroom staffed by a teacher and sit at desks separated by partitions. Well, if that's the case, then why have we never heard any stories of white parents saying anything about this then. It's always the black parents and the black kids that always get singled out by it then. They are full of shit. That's why I said I need to see a picture. The school informed Ms. George of Daryl's suspension just one day before the law took effect on September 1st. Wow. Even though the Crown Act does not specifically mention hair length, Daryl supporters have said the district move violates the spirit of the law. Candace Matthew, a civil rights activist and vice chair of the Texas Coalition of Black Democrats, said that braids, locks, and twists need to be long to protect the hair. It is a hairstyle that is culture in nature. First off, we need to stop explaining to them what it is. They know what it is. They just don't care. We could tell them so many ways: front ways, sideways, backwards, forwards, frontwards, reverse, pause, slow motion, all you want to do it in another language, sign language, Morse code, whatever. They're still going to use the I'm white and I say so whenever they feel need fit. At least 23 other states have adopted similar laws banning discrimination based on race-based hairstyles in the workplace and public schools. On September 8th, the Texas Legislative Black Caucus sent a letter to the district superintendent, Greg Poole, and the school principal, Lance Murphy, urging the district to clear Daryl's record and warning that the suspension could set a dangerous precedent. Well, could and would are two separate things. So my question to them is, could it or will it? Because one sounds a little bit more powerful than the other. The school is arbitrarily coming up with something else, saying that it's really not the hair, it's the length, said State Representative Ron Reynolds, a Democrat and chair of the caucus. A State Representative Retta Andrews Bauer, a Democrat and the primary author of the Crown Act, says she was inspired by the Crown Coalition, which advocates adoption of the law in other states, and by DeAndre Arnold and Caden Bradford, cousins who attended high school in the same district as Daryl and were suspended for the length of their dreadlocks. See, it always goes back to the locks. It always goes back to that particular hairstyle. In a case that garnered national attention, we anticipated that even with the passage of the legislation, that there could possibly be incidents, she said. We knew that it was largely going to be education and awareness, making people understand we are still on that path. Daryl's case is not the first to test the new law. In August, Catherine Huerta, the mother of an elementary school student in Mabank, Texas, cited the Crown Act when she was told that she would have to cut her son's long hair. Ms. Huerta told WFAA-TV, a local ABC affiliate, that her district later relented, saying she could put her son's hair in braids and a bun. A lawyer for Ms. George, Ali Booker, said that Daryl had been given until the end of the week to comply with the school's dress code, or he could be placed in a disciplinary alternative learning program. They are really considering putting him in an alternative learning program because of his hair. That's y'all. If y'all didn't, this is what I keep telling people when I say systematic white supremacy. That statement I just read is a perfect example of that. People, like I've said before, people think that Dub S is as far as calling someone the N-word or somewhere along those lines. Said no, that's surface. This is systematic. And what Donna said is correct. School to prison pipeline. What does this kid's locks have to do with his learning? Nothing. But they make it a big deal. I'm glad that the mother, she said, we're not cutting his hair. Well, thank God, the mother is like, she's standing firm on it. So I'm glad that the mother's standing on it. But before we go to the next story, I don't know if y'all it was heard or saw, but there was this white woman who went viral on TikTok because she had got braids. And she was basically mocking other black women about getting the braids. And I find that a lot of white women tend to do that because they love to see black women get riled up when they do that kind of stuff. But anyway, she got braids and everything like that, and she started mocking black women. Black women had gave her a warning. Now, I'm not going to tell you what the warning is, but I'm going to get there as the story progresses. They gave her a warning when it came to the braids and whatnot. And it had nothing to do with the texture of her hair and wearing the braids and whatnot. Because the braids, I guess, in a way, if you look at the pictures, looked like they kind of held up. But she ended up taking them out soon after. So she took out her braids and she showed a video of her after the braids were taken out. Now, anyone knows when you have braids and you take them out, your hair is all twisted up and it's like curl. It's like it's a curl pattern. So when she took her hair out and it was all fuzzy and everything and it was all poofed up, she got in the shower. She got in the shower and began to wash her hair. But she made one fatal mistake before she got in the shower. She got in the shower to wash her hair after it being in braids without detangling her hair first. Now, y'all know that I wear corn. As a matter of fact, I just got my hair cornrowed yesterday. One thing you have to do when you take your cornrows out or you take your braids out, you have to detangle your hair. You got to get all that loose hair or dead hair out of your head. Because what will happen is if you get in the shower to prepare to wash your hair and you don't detangle it, it becomes matted. It becomes really tangled up. So now you got dead hair and new growth locking in and tangling up with each other, and it looks like a damn bird's nest. So what ended up happening? She had to cut off a good 80% of her hair, and her hair was pretty long, and she had to cut a good chunk of it off. She had literally had a boy cut, like a boy bowl cut. And then she threw on some lace front wig. And from what I was reading in the comment section, the black woman clowned her again about the wig, not because of how the wig looked. I mean, the wig was kind of funny looking, but they said, you threw on this wig and you didn't even cut the lining off of the wig. We can see the lining. So she played herself. Donna said no one told her about the condition or right. She thought it was just simple as, oh, I'm going to take the braids out and just go wash my hair. She didn't detangle her hair. She didn't condition it or nothing. She just went and hopped in the shower and probably threw some shampoo on there and thought that was it. And she had to cut off a good chunk of her hair when she did that. What's going on, Tamika? Miss Renee, yes, she is definitely the best. If you listen to some of the stuff that she said. But yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting, but I wanted to bring that story to you since we was on this topic. But now that we've done that, let's move on to the next story. I meant to talk about this a couple weeks ago, and it looks like I probably won't be able to talk about it at length because it's freaking Daily Beast and they got that paywall up. Let's see if I can pull it up. Okay, so they got the paywall up. So we're just going to have to go off of it based off of this. I can't scroll down any further because the Daily Beast, they love putting stuff behind a paywall. So as we all know, what happened in Jacksonville a couple weeks ago at that Dollar General, apparently this is not the first time that this area has been targeted by these groups right here that's highlighted in red. And I'm not surprised by that at all. But let the usual suspects tell it, and some of them co-colonizing cohorts tell it, Dub S is not that big of a deal. And under here it says white supremacists have waged an intimidation campaign against the city's quote-unquote minority. Why can't they just say black communities? Let's be real here, because that's who Ryan Palmer was targeting and targeted. But yeah, that's as much as I can get from here because God damn it, Daily Beast got this thing behind a paywall. But y'all can pretty much get the gist of it by looking at this headline that they've been targeted before. So this is not a first time thing for them. So if someone thinks try to make it seem like, oh, this is just an isolated thing, it's definitely not. Malika said, then Becky with the bad hair, bad fur, wrote a diss rap saying that she hang her sister from a tree. I had briefly heard about that. That's just projection. She just mad because she fucked up and she got clowned. That's really all it is. But let's move on to the next story. And this is a rather sad and unfortunate story right here. And this is probably why some people be scared to go on cruises. So we have this man by the name of Kevin McGrath who went on a cruise with his family, I believe with his parents and maybe some friends and family to celebrate his dad's 60th birthday. That's him right there in the middle, and that's his parents, his mother and his dad right there. And, cruises should be a wonderful time, especially if you've never been on a cruise or, to enjoy yourself. But it all went south when he went missing. So this was posted September 7th, about like last week, I believe. But one thing I heard, I don't know if this article is going to state it, is that one of the search parties suspended their search. And usually when they suspend a search, that typically means that they have no chance of finding him. So my guess is he might have gone overboard. That's my assumption. That's the only thing I could think of, is that he probably went overboard. But let's see what they're talking about. Miami-Dade police investigators are searching for a cruise passenger who was last seen aboard a Carnival Cruise Line ship on Labor Day, authorities in Florida and the passenger's sister said. Kevin McGrath, 26 years old, was last seen in the area of Port of Miami, a missing person flyer issued by the Miami-Dade Police Department said. Danielle McGrath, who was not on the ship, said her brother and family were on the cruise to celebrate their father's 60th birthday. The family who first noticed McGrath was missing after he failed to show up for breakfast Monday morning, his sister said. When he didn't show up to breakfast, it was alarming, so they, as the McGrath's family members, went to look for him. After they couldn't find him, they approached the ship staff for help. On Monday morning, after Carnival Conquest had returned to Port Miami, a guest reported a family member missing. Carnival Cruise Line said in a statement, our investigation continues, including multiple reviews of closed-circuit video footage, and we are also cooperating with law enforcement and the U.S. Coast Guard. McGrath, who was an Army veteran and a father of two, was recorded on cell phone video enjoying the live music on the ship. From what I was told, he had an amazing time. He was in good spirits, everyone said, his sister told CNN. Carnival officials told the family that McGrath's key card was last used to enter his room around 3:30 a.m. He would not disappear and not tell anyone, especially my dad, where he was. This is not something my brother would do. My whole family is taking it terribly. We are just sick to our stomach. Carnival officials told the family that the ship's overboard detection systems never went off, so they reached out to the Miami police for assistance, McGrath's sister told CNN. So they have overboard detection systems, which I didn't know they had, which is actually good when you think about it. If someone goes overboard, but they said they never went off. So now this makes it even more weird, so to speak. He says something is not right. There's no way that my brother would just vanish into thin air like this. We want some answers. Today is day 4, and we know nothing about his whereabouts. They haven't found anything, she said. The Coast Guard initially assisted the Miami-Dade Police Department and Florida wildlife officials with a search in the water after being notified McGrath was missing on Monday at about 11 a.m. Crews searched nearly 3,300 square nautical miles, a combined crew of over 80 hours, before suspending their search, the Coast Guard said. Wow. So y'all tell me in the chat, what do y'all think happened? They said that the detection meter did not go off, so they're probably saying he did not go overboard, which means that go back to the boat as far as the location. So what do y'all think happened? Tamika said foul play. John said it sounds like foul play as well. Tamika says she's supposed to go on a cruise with her family in December. Will definitely be safe on that cruise. Hey, Auntie Sean from the shot. She says she had a procedure today and came out good and still fighting. Just woke up and I'm here with you. Hey, well, shout out to you, and I'm glad that you are feeling good and still have a graceful recovery. Mike says sounds suspicious. Cornell said he was murdered and tucked away somewhere. Miriam said, but nothing in the security of the ship. There should be cameras everywhere except on the inside of their cabins and restrooms. JK says, hopefully it was just an accident. Scoop said someone did something to him. Songwriter says, I hope he wasn't preyed on because this would confirm the reality of what our concerns should be consistent of. Right. But yeah, like this is like one of the more recent like articles right here. And I saw another one, but it wasn't really much of an update saying that they found him or anything like that. I think that would probably be the next art. Like that would probably be the biggest update is that they found him. And one of the biggest takeaways of this is that they suspended their search. Yeah, but like I said, the cruise can be a fun place, but at the end of the day, it can be scary at the same time because you are in the middle of a big body of water. And you would think like, you're on a boat, you're on a cruise, but cruise liners are huge. You're talking, there's a lot of decks. There it is very big. Some people can't even cover an entire cruise liner in a week. And usually that's how long they're out there for is a week. Some are weekends, but a lot of people tend to go for the week because they want a longer experience. But yeah, it's scary. And the crazy thing about it is a lot of these missing people that go missing on these cruises happens every year. It's just that some don't get reported. I think the thing that like really concerns me, like that is saddening me about this is the fact that he has 2 children and he's 26. He's young. He has 2 kids. And this happened during the celebration of his dad's 60th birthday. Like a moment that they should all be having there together as a family, having a good time, turns into a nightmare. But these mysterious cruise deaths are something very interesting. That is very, very interesting. Queen Mommy, you might see it's like says a small city, it's like a moving city. I guess you could put it like that. Sometimes I will go online and look up different cruise lines, and all of those videos be damn near an hour long, even with editing. So imagine how long the video would be if it wasn't edited and they covered the whole cruise. Yeah, Tamika, I hope they get some answers as well, because I know they probably are like panicking like crazy right now. But hopefully they do find him, and hopefully miraculously they can find him alive. But let's go ahead and move on to the next story. Now, this one is very recent, and it's probably going to shock some people considering who did it. Well, let me go ahead.
$50,000 bond.
Hold on, let me enlarge this right quick. Let me make sure the volume is up, and let me rewind it.
A $50,000 bond is keeping the suspect behind Wednesday's lockdown at UNC Chapel Hill in jail. 27-year-old Michael Harris appeared in court virtually yesterday. Now he's charged with carrying a gun onto educational property, misdemeanor assault, and threat charges. In court, the district attorney released some new details saying Harris threatened a bagel shop employee because his girlfriend had been fired that morning. The judge said if Harris bonds out of jail, he's not allowed to have a gun. He's also banned from UNC property and must wear an ankle monitor.
All right, so y'all just saw that right there. Hold on, let me pause this. I heard about this happened this week, by the way, and I had posted it up on my Twitter account. I said, oh God, not again. At the same campus after what just happened there like a week and a half ago. That's crazy. But fortunately, he did not fire off the gun or shoot anybody. But the fact that he pointed the gun at someone and threatened to kill them, yeah. And I know many people were like, oh, wow, like this happened again, with that location. Well, this was a black man this time that did it. When I saw his name, Mikel Deontay, that's all I needed to see. All I needed to see was that middle name, Deontay. Let's be real here. Let's be honest with ourselves. How many other people in the other groups do we know with the middle name or first name of Deontay? Except us. And yes, Mike C, that was dumb. This guy should also get charged with being a dummy. What the hell were you thinking? Granted, you might be upset because your girlfriend got fired from her job, but that's really an issue that she has to deal with because it was her job that she got fired from. and you went up there waving a gun and pointing it at someone threatening to kill them. Now look at where you're at. Like, she just got fired from her job, which means her income just paused like immediately. It just kind of halted. Now you're locked up. What y'all gonna do for money? It makes me wonder, what was he doing for a living that you would sacrifice that to do this? Exactly, Senior 34. She lost the job. He lost his freedom. What a dummy. I swear it's some people that are void of a brain. If I was still doing that series of videos, what was it called? See, I haven't done that series in so long, and I won't go back to him, but someone may remember it. He would definitely qualify for it. Like, what in the hell was you thinking? Jibstar says, was this on a college campus? Yes. Yes. He went up to his girlfriend's job that she got fired from and pointed the gun at somebody, all because his girlfriend got fired. And that's why I was saying she lost her job, which means she lost income. He's in jail right now, which means who's bringing in any income right now? I don't know if this man was working or not. We know she was, but she got fired. And we don't even know what she got fired for. We don't know if it was something on the end of the people that fired her or if it was something on her end that caused her to get fired. But he got emotional and went up there and threatened to kill somebody. What sense did that make? And let me tell y'all something else right now, what I just did. I did not defend his actions. I'm actually holding him accountable, as in saying he gets whatever he deserves. Because, you know, there's some people out there that will think that black people don't hold other black people accountable for their ignorance. And y'all know who I'm talking about. You know, either the usual suspects or their melanated co-colonizing cohorts. They love to say that we don't hold other black people accountable for the stupid shit that they do. This is a dummy that you see right here. I hope it was worth it. But thankfully, there were no casualties. Because, of course, it would have been a whole lot worse. I know the people that go to that campus were probably mad as hell. It's like, damn, we just came out of a lockdown from this crazy individual who went up there and took out a professor. And now we got to go on a lockdown again because this crazy fool want to go up there and threaten to kill somebody because his girlfriend got fired from a job. Miss Renee said he is dumb, but he probably did it for a white girl. Well, here's the thing, Miss Renee. I got to slightly correct you on that. Well, one, we don't know who his girlfriend is, race-wise or ethnic-wise. But we can't sit here and pretend that there aren't some black women that won't ask their boyfriend to go and do something to try to get someone else hemmed up. We've heard several of those stories before, and it usually did not end well for the boyfriend or any other man she sent to go and quote-unquote neutralize the problem. I mean, look at what recently happened with that quote unquote brick lady. And I meant to actually incorporate that in here, but my energy for that story is already dead on arrival. I said what I had to say about that last week. It pretty much got exposed for what we already knew about her and how much of a scam artist she is. What else is there to talk about? Mike C said, was he a tether? I don't know. Now listen here. His name is Mikael Deontay Harris. I'll let you be the judge of that based on that name, especially that middle name. Miss Renee said that's not what I was saying. I'm saying most black men ain't gonna do this. I don't, Miss Renee, I'm not sure. Some will. Some will. You'll be surprised how many will do it. And shout out to, I'm not gonna say your name on here, but the person who just hit the Cash App, you know who you are. Shout out to you. Some will. If they love their woman enough, they'll do it. Or if they feel like they want to flex, they will do it. But either way, this guy's an idiot. He's a fool. He's what you call a new fool. And he's now going to have, if he didn't have a record before, he got one now. Congratulations, you played yourself. So let's move on to the next story right here. Drunken Walton County shooting puts neighbors at risk. Now, when y'all find out how old this dude is, y'all gonna be like, what the absolute hell?
Authorities say a Walton County man was arrested Saturday after he allegedly shot a gun while drunk and nearly hit a sleeping neighbor. Authorities say 26-year-old Randall Holly was.
Let me pause it right quick. Did y'all hear that? Did y'all hear that? Besides the egregious act that he pulled, did y'all hear how old they said he was? Look at his picture. Look at his mugshot. This man is 26, the same age as, well, one age younger than the one we just talked about. 26. Y'all heard that correctly. When I found out this dude was 26, I said, you gotta be fucking lying. There is no way you about to sit up here and tell me that this dude is 26. This is if Hard Knock Life was a person. I'm 34 and I look 26. Not to toot my own horn, but I look younger than he does. And I got him by 8 years. What the hell is going on? This is a rough, raggedy, haggardly 26. It's a damn shame that this story is supposed to be about something else, and I'm stuck on how old this guy looks, but he's actually 26.
Was arrested just before midnight Saturday on Willie B. Parker Road in Defuniak Springs after a call about an argument and gunshots being heard. Authorities say he got into a fight with his wife and shot a gun 3 times at a tree, but one round hit a home. The bullet lodged in a closet door about 3 to 4 feet above a woman's head. He is faced with aggravated assault and gun charges.
My God, my goodness. I'm just glad that I have the secret sauce known as melanin. I am glad that I treat my body like a temple. I do not do drugs. I do not drink. I do not smoke. Well, I'll take a sip every now and then, but it has to be an occasion. But the occasions are few and far in between. As a matter of fact, the next time I take a little sip will most likely be next month at my homecoming. I'm just speaking it to existence because it's most likely going to happen. But that's over a month away. Because I did not look like this at 26. That's crazy. The stories, I forgot what the story was even about. I'm focusing on how old this dude is. But yeah, they just said that he was arrested for drunken shooting and almost hit some people. No shock there. I mean, when you're drunk, you're incoherent. Your body is not centered. But my goodness, 26. What the hell? They could have said this man was 36 and I still wouldn't believe it. If y'all want to know another reason why, PC is mad, look at this guy's face right here in his age. I probably would be pissed too. But let me move on to the next story. And this other story right here is an update. And as y'all know, I told y'all I was going to try to stay on top of this as much as I possibly could since it happened. And it is a Tyre Nichols case update. Well, not Tyre Nichols case, but the 5 degenerates that were responsible for unaliving him back in January. And shout out to Lisa Cabrera, because I believe she talked about it on her channel either yesterday or the day before. So it says 5 former police officers involved in the deadly beating of Tyre Nichols indicted on federal charges. So remember, they already have state charges for the state of Tennessee. But now they have federal charges on top of that. They are done out here. I'd say they were done back in January when we all saw that video. But they are done now. Let's see what they're talking about. 5 former Memphis police officers involved in the deadly police beating of Tyre Nichols have been indicted by a federal grand jury. The 5 former officers, Tadarius Bean, Demetrius Haley, Emmett Martin III, Desmond Mills Jr., and Justin Smith, are facing several charges, including federal civil rights, conspiracy, and obstruction offenses resulting in Nichols' death. Tyre Nichols, a 29-year-old black man, was violently beaten by Memphis police officers in January and died in the hospital from his injuries. Nichols was repeatedly punched and kicked by the 5 Memphis Police Department officers after the officers conducted a traffic stop and brief foot chase. He required hospitalization after the encounter and died 3 days later. Officers who violate the civil rights of those they are sworn to protect undermine public safety, which depends on the community's trust in law enforcement, Attorney General Merrick Garland said in a statement. Garland added the Justice Department will continue to hold accountable officers who betray their oath. The federal indictment says the 5 men willfully deprived Nichols of his constitutional rights to be free from an unreasonable seizure, which includes the right to be free from the use of unreasonable force by a police officer. The former officers unlawfully assaulted Nichols and willfully failed to intervene in the unlawful assault, which caused injuries that resulted in his death. The indictment reads, CNN had reached out to attorneys for the 5 officers for comment. A lawyer for Justin Smith declined to comment. This is going to cause us to change gears a little bit. This adds another layer of things that we'll have to look into and investigate. Blake Ballin, defense attorney for Desmond Mills, told CNN, reacting to the federal indictment. We have been expecting this federal indictment as it does not change Mr. Mills' position, Ballin said in another statement to CNN. As in the state case, Mr. Mills maintains his innocence. He will turn himself in on the federal indictment and continue to defend himself against all allegations in both the state and federal court systems. I don't know why any of them are trying to defend their innocence. They all guilty as hell. The death reignited a national debate on justice and police and reform, rocking a nation long accustomed to videos of police brutality, especially against people. Oh, God, they had to say people of color, black people. I'm remixing it, selling it like it is. It also spurred protests and vigils in Memphis and other major U.S. cities. If anything, we are so hopeful that today sent a chilling effect on police officers across America. Somehow I doubt it, said Benjamin Crump, an attorney for the Nichols family, during a news conference Tuesday. It didn't, because look at Derek Chauvin. This guy got like 20 some odd years in prison and they're still committing police brutality. So I don't think it really sent the effect that they are thinking that it did. Or hope that it would. Not only are you going to be under review by the state, but Merrick Garland and the Biden administration have sent the warning instead of president that the federal government is going to defend the civil rights for all American citizens against anybody, whether they're wearing a badge or not. Yeah, where have we heard that before? The 5 officers are also facing state charges in Tennessee related to Nichols' death, which they have pleaded not guilty to in a federal civil lawsuit. All 5 were terminated by the Memphis Police Department. Notice that they were fired. They weren't transferred, but they were indeed terminated. When some officers violate the Constitution, when they use excessive force, when they ignore serious injuries inflicted on people they arrest, their actions erode the public's trust, said Assistant Attorney General Kristen Clark, who leads the Justice Department Civil Rights Division, during a news conference on Tuesday. Since January 2021, the Justice Department has brought more than 100 prosecutions involving violations of constitutional and legal rights by the law enforcement officials. In that same period, the department obtained more than 86 convictions. And I'm not going to read the rest of it because it's just more of a rehashing of the case itself, which by now we are all familiar with. But yep, that's the update with them. They got fed charges on top of the state charges. Again, I don't know why they're pleading not guilty, because we all saw it. It's evident. And again, this is going back to a statement I made when I was talking about what happened at that UNC campus with that knucklehead. These 5 chuckleheads right here, all of them are black. All of them had a role in the deletion of a black man. And we all held them accountable back then. You want to know what's so interesting? And I hate to even bring this person's name up on this stream, but for the sake of argument, I'm going to do it anyway. Fakem, Brandon Fakem, as y'all know, as I call him that, he always goes to bat for the police no matter what. No matter what. Even in this case here. Now, they love to tell black people that we need to hold people like this accountable. Or why don't we talk about, because if they want to play that game, we'll play that game. Let's hypothetically say this would be considered quote unquote black on black crime because the officers were black that did this, even though they had that one white cop that was involved too, but they let him go. No shocker there. The victim and the deceased is black. You had Fakem up there on his platform before we saw any footage try to throw the cape on for these 5 right here and make it seem like Tyre Nichols deserved it. He did it with that. He did it what happened in Uvalde. He did it with George Floyd and so many others. And you had people in his comment section eating up, for the most part, what he was saying, but those will be the same people that turn right around and tell other black people, when are we going to talk about black on black crime? Like I tell y'all, let them talk long enough and they will expose themselves. But yep, that's the update. They got federal charges, so it's serious now. I mean, it was already serious with the state charges, but they got fed charges, so now it's for real now. All right, let's move on. We got 2 more stories to go through, and I'm dreading these last 2 because the last 2 actually both deal with the same person, but they're 2 different articles. And it's ramen noodles. I know. Disgusting. But I had this sitting in my bookmarks for like the last 2 weeks. I said, let me just go ahead and knock these out. GOP presidential candidate ramen noodles is an unaffiliated voter records show. Voting records in Ohio also show that ramen noodles didn't vote in the state's primary elections in 2022 and 2023. But this guy wants to run for president, right? Or is running for president. What's going on, Joy? Ramen noodles is one of the highest profile candidates and one of the most annoying, seeking the GOP presidential nomination, but he has not voted in a Republican primary recently enough to be affiliated with the party in his home state's voting records. Ramen Noodle, age 38, is listed as an unaffiliated voter in Franklin County, Ohio, where he's been registered to vote since November 2021 after he moved to Columbus. Unaffiliated, so he's not attached based on these findings to any party. Well, we'll say to the Republican Party because that's what he's running under. And see, the further he gets in this campaign, the more and more they're going to dig and find stuff on him. The biotech multimillionaire has described himself as being a quote unquote libertarian freestyler in college. Oh God. And by the way, I still have that video coming about Eminem and BMI shutting him down and saying don't use my songs. I still have that video coming. It's just that it was so many other videos before it. That video hopefully should be uploaded this upcoming week. And he does not need to be freestyling nothing. I don't know if y'all saw that video when he was rapping Lose Yourself, but my God, he was so stiff and so offbeat. He said he voted for a libertarian in the 2004 presidential election, but did not vote in 2008, 2012, or 2016, according to Reuters, and has contributed to both Republican and Democratic candidates. I'm telling you, this guy's one of the biggest grifters out there. He brushed past a question about his sparse voting history during Wednesday's GOP presidential debate. Ramen Noodles said he went on to become a hardcore Trump supporter and voted for him in 2020, probably because he saw that's where the grift wind was blowing. In order to be listed as affiliated with a party in Ohio, a voter has to request that party's ballot during primaries. According to voter records first posted by an account called Ohio Legislative Watch on X, the website formerly known as Twitter, Ramen Noodle did not vote in the Ohio state primaries last year. The records, which NBC News has independently reviewed, also show no history recorded in the primary held this past May. Ramen Noodles did vote in the August 8th special election for a Republican-backed ballot measure that would have made it harder to change the state's constitution ahead of an effort later this year to enshrine abortion rights. He also voted in 2021 and 2022 general elections, records show. Ramen Noodles' campaign did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Ramen Noodles, who declared his presidential candidacy this past February, has previously defended his failure to vote in his younger days, telling Sean Clanity he hadn't then because he was a quote unquote jaded person in my 20s. If you don't get the hell out of here. But that's the first article. Now, the last article, again, is going to be talking about him, but it's going to be about something else. And this is coming off of Newsweek. And it's titled, Vivek Ramaswamy is a fraud and always has been, and it's an opinion piece. But let's be real here. Opinion or not, him being a fraud has some factual sentiments to it. Let's just be honest here. Ramen Noodle, artful narrative meticulously tailored for the GOP primary voter, weaves a tale of principle, sacrifice, and success. According to his version, he helmed the leadership of Roivant, a multi-billion-dollar American pharmaceutical company. He founded and gallantly relinquished his CEO role in 2021 due to his unwavering stance against ESG principles, despite facing opposition from his liberal workforce. While this narrative might seem appealing, it is akin to the endless flip-flops that have plagued his campaign, an elaborate work of fiction that unravels upon a modicum of scrutiny. Let's start with the basics. Ramen Noodle has funded his campaign through the sale of over $32 million in Roivant stock options in February of this year. This could lead one to believe that Roivant, based in Bermuda, is thriving and that Ramen Noodles is a great entrepreneur, except the company reported staggering losses of $1.2 billion in its financial report of March 2023. This isn't a one-time slump. In March 2022, when Ramen Noodles was still Roivant's chairman and a major shareholder, the company reported an annual loss of $924.1 million. Ramen Noodles defenders may argue that Roivant performed better during his tenure as CEO in 2021, but alas, the numbers tell a different story. The reality is that Roivant's finances were abysmal under Ramen Noodles' watch. During his tenure in 2019, the company set net operating loss exceeded $530 million. By 2020, the losses had doubled to over $1 billion, accompanied by a 65% decline in revenue. It just sounds to me like this guy's just horrible with money. But let his supporters tell it he's a great businessman. These numbers raise a puzzling question. How can a company consistently bleeding billions trade at over $10 a share? The answer might lie in ramen noodles' implementation of Roivant's diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI initiative called Roivant Social Ventures during his CEO tenure. Launched in 2020 while ramen noodles was still CEO, this initiative aimed to foster DEI opportunities for future leaders in biopharma and biotech. While ramen noodles vocally opposes ESG principles, Roivant major institutional investors, including Morgan Stanley, Viking Global, and BlackRock, the very firms he criticizes by name, are among its largest stakeholders, owning over 500 million shares. Ramaswamy himself holds more than 80 million shares, making him an essential partner of these major ESG funds. In a deeply ironic twist, ramen noodles' anti-woke campaign is being bankrolled by the profits reaped from the very policies he denounces. Go figure. Yet this irony is not the worst of it. In 15, there was another sordid affair involving ramen noodles over Axivant Sciences' Alzheimer's drug. In June 2015, Ramaswamy appeared on CNBC to praise the Axivant IPO, which soared to over $30 a share based on expectations surrounding its Alzheimer's drugs Interbidine. The drug was touted as a breakthrough, yet upon closer examination, this development fell apart. Axivant had acquired the drug for $5 billion in December 2014, 6 months before the IPO, after the majority of phase 2 trials had failed to meet their primary endpoints. In 2010, Ramen Noodle devised a solution. His mother, Dr. Geetha Ramaswamy, conducted a new phase 2 trial in 2015 involving 684 subjects. This trial conveniently claimed to demonstrate sufficient improvement to support phase 3 trials. The aftermath was a triumphant $350 million IPO in 2015, followed by a drastic fall. By September 2017, the stock had plummeted 75% after Ramen Noodles and his mother announced the phase 3 trial's failure. Subsequent trials continued to disappoint, culminating in a 99% loss in value and a name change for the company. While investors suffered significant losses, Ramaswamy profited from a higher media profile, IPO payouts, and the sale of remaining Axivant assets in 2020. Ramen Noodle's latest scam appears to be his run for president. The 38-year-old presidential candidate appears to have no serious interest in leading the nation. In fact, according to people who know Ramaswamy, the goal of his campaign seems to be to block Florida Governor Ron DeSnowflake path to the nomination by running as a MAGA-adjacent candidate. Ramaswamy's deception has gone as far as hiring a writer to delete from his Wikipedia page his past ties to the Soros family and the creator of the Moderna thing. I'm not going to say the word, but y'all know the thing. Serving as Donald Trump's political fullback and hiding unflattering information from voters may not be a crime, but it is a part of a disturbing pattern with Ramaswamy, which goes something like this. Generate media buzz, pull out right before the cash, and leave a rubble behind for others to clean up. In this case, the ones who will have to clean up his mess are Republican primary voters. Thankfully, there are signs that conservatives may be catching on to Ramaswamy's ruse. A poll of the Iowa Republican caucus goers taken immediately after last week's Fox News' debate showed him dropping from 3rd to 4th place, with his unfavorability ratings more than doubling. Clearly, Iowans didn't like what they saw, and who can blame them? Both parties are already led by scandal-plagued octogenarians. The last thing we need is a millennial con man pretending to be a presidential candidate. And that's the whole piece right there. That part about the Soros, that's true. The part about the Wikipedia page, that's true as well. In case people was questioning those two parts. Those are both very true. If y'all watch Kid Gravity, he's actually brought up a lot of that stuff that says that he had got funding from the Soros Family Foundation. So that is very, very, very true. Like I said, the guy, I told y'all, in my opinion, what this dude is doing is he's building up an audience so when he loses, he can start that podcast. I'm telling you, that's his backup plan. He's building up that audience so he can get that podcast off the ground. I truly believe that's what he's doing. Well, anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to bring this stream to a close. I'm glad everybody came through. Shout out to everybody who donated to the stream. Shout out to everybody who subscribed if they're new. I think I saw one person did subscribe. We will be back on here tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tomorrow, y'all will be getting a collab video from myself and Rob over at Blacklight Revelations. I will put the premiere window up probably in the next couple of hours. But also tomorrow, I will be going live again because there is an individual that has to be addressed for some things that they have said. I'm going to leave it at that and let y'all ponder on what that is, and y'all will find out what that's all about tomorrow. And that's going to happen, I believe, at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And y'all are going to really enjoy it because I have a lot to say about some stuff that they put out there recently based on something that just recently happened at a certain person's house. I hope y'all can read between the lines of what it is that I'm talking about. With that being said, I'm out. Y'all enjoy the rest of your evening. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. And I will talk to you all tomorrow. Be safe and be one.